The long-awaited day is here, the academic integrity speech. In 1993, the cult classic movie Groundhog Day was released, starring Bill Murray. He played a weatherman who lived the same day over and over again. This is a little bit how I feel knowing that I will give a speech on academic integrity at the opening of every school year. I went back and read my speech from last year and was astounded by my own brilliance, quickly convinced that I would never be able to top it. But just when I was feeling intimidated by my own former greatness, along came a teenager to bring me back down to earth. Isn't that always the way? Enter my advisee, Naima McDonald, who relayed to me that all she remembered about my speech was simply, "Don't cheat." At first, somewhat disappointed that's all she could recall, I quickly realized that was in fact the message of my speech. So there you go, kids, don't cheat. If that's your one takeaway from today, brilliant, we've succeeded. We could even turn it into a positive. Be honest, have integrity. But why is it important to be honest? Why shouldn't you cheat? And yet, why do we? How can we prevent it? This year, at a time when our country is grappling with morality and what it means to be moral, I was curious about how we as humans disengage ourselves from moral behavior. Again, why do we lie and cheat at the most basic biological levels? How can we prevent lying and cheating? To answer these questions, I turned to science. This is, anybody know? Charles Darwin. He is, along with others, like Alfred Wallace, credited with the theory of evolution. In his article, In Theory into Practice, Jason Stevens from the University of Auckland notes that cheating, gaining an unfair advantage through deception or dishonesty, is common among humans, animals, and even plants for Darwinian reasons. Let's take a look at one of each. Do a little self-monitoring to see how you feel about each of these. This is the Venus flytrap. It uses deception for enticement. The flytrap produces a smell that mimics food, which lures in flies, hence the name. But it doesn't actually provide food. So this plant is a liar. This here is a cuckoo bird. It raids the nest of its warbler neighbor to steal its eggs, then leaves its own eggs behind to replace what it just stole. The warbler then unwittingly raises the cuckoo babies, despite the fact they look completely different. So the murdering cuckoo parents get free childcare. This bird is a thief and a cheat. And who do we have here? Why, it's cyclist Lance Armstrong, 7-time Tour de France winner. He denied blood doping for a decade and referred to himself as a miracle whilst atop the podium. Mr. Armstrong sued anyone who claimed differently. He then tried to bribe the International Cycling Union to cover up his testing results. He also pressured his teammates to dope and kicked them off the team if they refused. He was stripped of his titles. This man is a liar and a cheat. Which do you find most egregious? Think quietly and decide for yourselves. With the plant and animal examples, the lying and cheating had life or death consequences. Lance Armstrong's dishonesty did not, and yet we find it incredibly offensive. It violates our moral code, one of the defining aspects of our humanity. Back to the scholar Jason Stevens, who in acknowledgement of cheating throughout the animal kingdom wrote, "Being natural, however, does not make cheating ethical. People feel it to be wrong, a violation of the social contract that obliges them to consider the welfare of others and to be fair and caring in interactions with them. So we can feel what's right and wrong. Yet despite this, at some point, most students cheat in school. They tell themselves that they are still good and decent people despite having done something they know is wrong. This is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is a fancy way of saying you have contradictory thoughts. For instance, I am a good person, even though I cheated and lied about it in my math class. How can we do this? How do our brains not cleave? Stevens suggests two theories of how this is possible. The first is moral disengagement. We blame it on others or the situation. The teacher didn't give me clear directions. I'm under a lot of pressure from home. If I fail this, I won't get into college. When you do this, you distance yourself from moral messaging and deny personal responsibility for your actions. The second has to do with social norms, or what we call pluralistic ignorance. Other kids are doing it, so it doesn't matter. We rationalize our behavior by exaggerating others' supposed behavior. So now we know why we humans do it. We are apt to violate a social contract by morally disengaging and blaming an external factor apart from ourselves, or we falsely assume that the behavior is normalized. At the end of the day, as the author Rick Wormeli concludes, cheating is a deliberative act in that students make a conscious decision to engage in academic dishonesty. It does not happen by accident. You know you are doing it. What is it? You can turn to our student handbook, page 3, for reference. It is categorized into 2 levels. Level 1 includes plagiarism, obtaining a copy of a test before its administration, using a language translator or calculator when not permitted, cheating on an assessment, or handing in an assignment you have previously submitted in another course. These cases appear before a disciplinary committee and often result in suspension, which is reportable to colleges. Level 2 includes referencing an English translation of a book from language class, copying homework or collaborating without informing the teacher, discussing an assessment with those who have already taken it, or using someone else's data or research for an assignment. At a minimum, these cases result in notification home, a letter in your file, and dean's warning. Brooks School is a community built on relationships. Compromising one of our school's core values will mean the perception of you changes. This summer, my aunt shared a story with me about a woman who sat her daughter down before the first day of middle school. She placed in front of the girl a tube of toothpaste and a plate. She asked her daughter to squeeze all of the toothpaste out of the tube and onto the plate. Upon completion of the task, the mother then asked her daughter to put the toothpaste back in. The daughter predictably said things like, "But I can't, and it won't be like it was before." The mother then likened the toothpaste to words leaving her daughter's mouth. Once you speak them, you cannot take them back completely. They will have always been said. The lesson here is to think before you speak and consider how your words affect others, because they can hurt and irreparably damage relationships. I would make the same point about your actions. If you cheat and lose the trust and respect of your teachers, could you work to earn it back? Absolutely. Do we, as teachers, believe that students have the capacity to make mistakes and learn from them? Most certainly. Could you ever take back what you did? No. It still will have happened, and that will be a memory associated with you. Please consider this in those crossroads moments. No one has ever been DC'd for failing. Instead, it typically results in more academic support, which is what you would have needed in the first place. So what can we do about creating a better culture around academic integrity? Back to Rick Wormeli, who suggests 3 things you can ask yourself. Are you ready? Great, 2 of you. Okay. What is my goal in this class? Is it to get a good grade? Is it to not look dumb or perform better than your peers? Or is it to learn and understand the material? Consider intrinsic versus extrinsic rewards. What feels better and has less pressure? when we are learning for ourselves to gain deep understanding, or when we achieve in order to please parents or college admissions officers. Put you first. Get the most out of this most meaningful educational experience of your life. Number 2, can I do this? Growth mindset. In part the subject of my chapel speech last year, Naima. Growth mindset means believing you have the skill set or can grow your brain in order to succeed. What are the costs of cheating? What happens if you get caught? How will you deal with feelings of guilt and regret? Can you live with that? In moments of feeling overwhelmed or plagued by self-doubt, pause and ask yourself, what is my goal? Can I do it? And if you're not sure, ask for help. That is what we adults are here for. We listen, we grant extensions, we will sit with you and teach you good sources to consult and how to cite them properly. We want you to succeed. And if you falter along the way, remember, we did too. We need to be kind to ourselves as we grow. Think about what you would say to someone younger than you who hadn't figured something out yet. Keep trying. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Just because you don't get it the first time doesn't mean you should give up or find the easy way out. Conduct yourself with integrity, have a little grit, and lean into it. To end on a positive note, I'm going to share with you a 4-year-old Ainsley Waters favorite. This is a song from Sesame Street featuring Janelle Monáe called Power of Yet. It encourages young people to adopt a growth mindset, and I think we can all benefit from that outlook. Enjoy, and let's have a great year.
How does it go?
These no look right.